Hi, folks. Welcome back to Racin-n-Braisin. I am CJ. It is Sunday, and yes, before you say anything, I had my ears lowered and I lost a battle with the razor, but that's okay. Trust me, it all grows back, and with me, it grows back really fast. So if I look weird now, don't worry about it. I'll look much weirder later when it all grows out. Anyways, welcome back, guys. It is Sunday, like I said, and that means we are going to cover the same old things that we cover every Sunday. We're going to talk about picks. We're going to talk about what we saw yesterday. We're going to talk about what we're expecting today. And then finally, touch on what I am cooking for the race today at Darlington. So let's dive right into it. First off, let's talk about picks in the regular season battle between myself and my mom. As you all know, I am 15 points behind right now. Mom had first pick this week, and she was between two drivers. She was between William Byron and Tyler Reddick, and decided to go with the pole sitter, William Byron. He put down a heck of a lap, had some good lap averages in practice yesterday, and should absolutely be a strong pick for her for today. Now, as far as my pick for the day, I had three drivers in mind, and thankfully, none of those were on Mom's list. I had Ryan Preece in mind, Kyle Busch, and Denny Hamlin, and just decided, you know what, I'm going to go with the feel good on that. I like Ryan Preece. I like what he's doing this year. Really impressed that he has jumped into that RFK car, and that team has just taken off running, and they're performing really well. Hopefully he has a good, solid finish like he's had all season long, and that brings me back into a respectable area in the points there. Let's talk about the race that we're expecting today. I just double-checked the weather, and it is still saying 88 degrees and mostly sunny. The storm system that's pushing through the western half of North Carolina and northern Georgia that I'm experiencing right now is not going to touch that area until much later tonight. So no worries about rain. It is going to be hot and slick at Darlington today, which means we're going to have a lot of loose cars. We're going to have some good Darlington stripes throughout the day, but we're also going to expect long green flag runs. Because of that, I think we're also going to expect some interesting strategies to play out in the third stage. Remember, Darlington eats up tires anytime there's a caution. The field is going to come to pit road, grab four with gas. That being said, when we're expecting long green flag runs on a hot, slick track, tire strategy could play a big impact in the third stage. Some teams may try to just split it in half. Some teams may split it into three and try to utilize the freshest tires that they can. Okay, let's talk about yesterday real quick. Before the Xfinity race, before the drivers even took to the practice and qualifying session, NASCAR sat down the Xfinity field and basically said, look, y'all embarrassed the crap out of us last week. Cut it out. Figure it out. Y'all need to do something to get things back on track, or else we're going to start penalizing you. So it was one of those, like, here's your warning, guys, don't do it again, or it's going to get nasty. It seemed to have made a difference, maybe. I don't know. It seemed like a typical Xfinity Darlington race yesterday. Slick, a lot of people sliding around, and a couple people, losing control of their cars. That happens, with the Xfinity cars at Darlington. Those cars snap loose real quick, easy to do. The Xfinity drivers, the regulars, kept it fairly clean amongst themselves. Yes, it was aggressive on restarts. That's to be expected. This is a track position track. Of course, everybody's fighting for everything they can as early in the run as they can. But where the aggressiveness kind of upped itself was with the three cup drivers that were in the field yesterday. In particular, Ross Chastain just kind of being in the way of Seabell and Chase Elliott. He was clearing himself a couple of times yesterday when he definitely was not clear. The post-race comments out of those three drivers were pretty interesting, and it looked like they all were having fun in those cars, and maybe not necessarily super mad at each other about what they encountered yesterday on the track, but definitely enjoying the racing that they had amongst each other. Final note about yesterday, Brandon Jones, great job getting that win and breaking the winless streak, 98 races. Definitely a feel good right there. Everybody likes Brandon Jones. It's good to see him back in victory lane. Hopefully he's got his feet back under him again, gains a little more confidence, and maybe gets another one this year. He's usually good for 1 to 3 wins per season, as we've seen throughout his career. That's really all I've got for today's race. Looking forward to it. Don't forget, coverage starts at 2 o'clock today on FS1, and the race begins at 3. When the race gets started, let's talk about what I'm making today. Not necessarily braising, but I'm going with the throwback style today of the quick 30-minute meal and making myself the healthy burger helper. So I'll play on a hamburger helper, right? One of the old school box meals. What I'm going to do to make it healthy is substitute the pasta with some cauliflower. Keep my carbs down. That's how I'm keeping my weight under control. It's just I keep my carbs under control. Do I eliminate them entirely? No, I treat myself every now and then, but most of my meals are protein heavy, low carb, and have a good source of fiber somewhere in there because, I've got quite a bit of experience. I find ways to make things taste good enough to disguise the fact that it's just pretty plain vegetables and proteins. So nonetheless, let's talk about the cauliflower itself. What I want to do here is do a quick little segment for you guys on how I prepare my cauliflower to go into a one-pot meal. So stick with me a second. Let's get our mise en place in place, and then I'll talk with you about that cauliflower. All right, let's talk about my healthy hamburger helper. As you can see, I've got my mise en place taken care of. I've got all my things in place. My ground beef, my onion, garlic, chili powder, tomato paste, and grated cheddar cheese, as well as a bouillon cube of beef and my cauliflower. These guys here, ready to go. One quick note about the ground beef. Anytime that I buy ground beef, whether it is in tube shape or in brick shape, where I immediately pull it out of that packaging and put it into a food saver bag and then seal it with a vacuum sealer. And then I flatten it out real good. That way, when I pull it out of the freezer, it only takes about an hour to an hour and a half for it to thaw naturally in the sink. And then I can throw it right back in the refrigerator and use it later. Real quick thaw, good trick and habit to have for ground beef. So let's move on. Let's get these items out of the way and let's talk about our cauliflower. So now the big thing with cauliflower rice that I have learned over time of following these, low carb diets where you're replacing those heavy carb items like rice and pasta with a vegetable. With the cauliflower rice in particular, when I make it fresh, I use a box grater like most people will. That generally gives me a good size grain, but I find that if I am putting it in a one pot meal, if I don't watch it carefully enough, or if I have too much liquid in that pot, the small kernels of rice will get mushy very fast and lose their structures. What I have learned in time is to just go ahead and do a rough chop myself. Now, I know I'm not going to use this whole head of cauliflower for today's one pot dish. I'm only going to need half of it. So I'm going to set aside one half and wrap that up, store it for later. A good little trick to get your stem and all of your bad stuff is to take your half that you just cut open, take the tip of your knife and just go straight down on an angle, turn it on another angle and go straight down. And you notice my hand's kind of out of the way. Knife safety first, and I'm taking that core out of there. And now I can just peel off the little green parts on it. Pretty simple, easy to do, and you're not losing too much of the good stuff of your cauliflower there. Now, here I still have a little bit of the core left, but I'm not too worried about that because here's where I'm going to change things up from a traditional cauliflower rice prep. I'm just going to go with a rough cut. So I'm going to keep it real simple. I'm doing about a 1/4 inch slice here, just going across. And now as it's getting wobbly, I'm putting the wobbly part down flat. So I'm not risking my hands any further, right? Knife safety first. And then I'm just going to take this and turn it. And now I'm just going to start with my rough chops, right? You're going to get some 1/4 to 1/2 inch size pieces. Not a big deal. You'll find your little core pieces in here that are not favorable because they're real tough and a little bit bitter. And then from here, I am just going to continue to chop by hand. Yes, it's a little more labor inducive, but it gives me more control over the size of my cauliflower rice. If I keep it a little bit bigger as I cook it in a one pot dish, it will hold up its structure much better, and then it'll actually mimic that mouth feel that you're looking for when you're replacing one of your starchy items like a pasta or a rice. So I'm going to continue chopping this up. I'll get you guys back to the video and we'll talk about how I take care of the dish itself. And then we'll do a short here later. All right, guys, that's what I do with the cauliflower to get it ready. Remember, once we get going on it, it's going to be following basically the same instructions that you would follow on the box. I'm going to brown my my meat along with my onion and drain off some of the excess fat that comes off of that from the browning process. Then I'm going to add my seasonings and my liquids and let that all stir together, get combined before adding my cauliflower rice. The rice has a high moisture content, so it's going to wick out more moisture than you realize. Best not to add too much right away. Keep your liquid content pretty low initially, and if you need to add some more in the cooking process, that's certainly okay to do so. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Thanks for following along with me. I hope you all enjoy the race today. Remember, coverage is beginning at 2 o'clock. And until then, I will see you guys Monday night when we talk about what we saw today and how the points worked out for us. Until then, guys, thanks a lot. Take care, and I'll see you all later.